rather than wear them. But in this case, I know it's not going to last that long. So this time, Krishna saved it for something else. Thank you. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Nachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Pavrikacharya Satara Sada Sri Sri Mother's Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sika Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Jai Radha Krishna Gopa Gopanath Shai Makunda Radha Kunda Giri Gaurana Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mai Pranavrit Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shishi, Guru, and Garanga. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastai Buddhale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi. Gauravani Pacharni Nirasesa Shunyavadi Prashachadesh Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 53, text number 7. And this is the chapter where Krishna liberates Rukmini from her marriage, or planned marriage to Rukmi. Rajasa Kundina Pati Putra Sneha Vishanuga Shishupalaya Swamkanyam Dasyan Karman Yakarayat Rajasa Kundina Pati Putra Sneha Vashanuga Shishupalaya Swamkanyam Dasyan Karman Yakarayat Rajasa Kundina Pati Putra Sneha Vashanuga Shishupalaya Swamkanyam Dasyan Karman Yakarayat Vashanuga Shishupalaya Swakanyam Dasyam Karman Yakarayat Rajasa Kundina Pati Putra Sneha Vashanuga Shishupalaya Swankanyam Kasman Karman Yakarayat Rajasa Kundina Pati Putra Sneha Vashanuga Shishupalaya Swamkanyam Tasyan Karman Yakarayat Rajasa Kundina Pati Putra Sneha Vashanuga Shishupalaya swam kanyam tasyan karmanya karayat. Anyone else? Just a quick tip, when you see a Y at the end of a word, it goes on to as the first letter of the next word. So it's not karmanya karayat, but it's karmanya karayat. The Y always goes to the next word. It's not like English. English, where English is like an I, Y is like an I, but in the Sanskrit, the Y always goes to the next letter, next word. So it's like karman yakarayat. Raja, the king. Saha, he, Bhishmaka. Kundinapati, master of Kundina. Putra, for his son. Sneha, of affection. Vasha, the control. Anuga, obeying. Shishupalaya, to Shishupal. Swam, his. Kanyam, daughter. Dasyan, being about to give. Karmani, the required duties. Akarayat, he had done. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada's disciples. King Bhishmaka, the master of Kundina, having succumbed to the sway of affection for his son, was about to give his daughter to Shishupal. The king saw to all the required preparations. Please repeat. King Bhishmaka, the master of Kundina, having succumbed to the sway of affection for his son, was about to give his daughter to Shishupal. The king saw to all the required preparations. Purport. Srila Sridhar Swami points out in this connection that King Bhishmaka had no particular liking for Shishupal, but rather acted out of attachment for his son, Rukmi. And there is also some short commentaries by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Jiva Goswami, which I'll read now. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, according to the will of his son, Bhishmaka decided to marry his daughter to Shishupal and decorated the city accordingly. Jiva Goswami writes, though the king was famous for being of good character, he made arrangements through his servants and priests for the marriage of his daughter, who was dependent on him, to Shishupal. The king followed his son's desire, Vasha, out of affection for him. This is clear from the text, since it was stated that other members of the family wanted her marriage with Krishna, that's from last chapter, 10:52-25, and his son hated Krishna, that's from the verse number 2 of this chapter. Out of affection, the king prepared for his son's death or his living in the forest. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyanan Gyanan Shalakaya Shakshu Unmilitangena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastai Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Taramani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharni Nirvasesa Shunyavadi Brashchadesh Journey Vanchakalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyebacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The Bhagavatam doesn't tell us very much about King Bhishmaka. He's mentioned very briefly. But we know that from the commentaries of the Acharyas that he was of good character. He was the master of the kingdom Kundina, which is in central India. Now, if you look on a map today, where Kundina was, it's like east of Mumbai, kind of right in the middle of the peninsula of India. And rather far from Dwarka, so we can understand that Krishna had a long way to go in order to get to Kundina. But we don't know very much about him, except that it does seem, as it says, that he was influenced by by his son, and in this way, he's very much like another king we do know a lot more about. That is Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra, who wasn't of the greatest character, but he was not. Let's say he was not. He would not have been actively demoniac or against the Pandavas had it not been for his cruel son Duryodhana and his other sons, Dushasana, etc. Because he was so swayed by affection for his sons, especially Duryodhana, that he acted in ways which were totally abominable under his son's influence. So love is blind, or this attachment is blind. It says here in the verse, the very important line here is putra sneha vashanuga. Putra, that's for his son. Sneha, affection. Sometimes we'll hear a lot about the word sneha in the relationships between the gopis and Krishna. There's such affection. But that affection, of course, is prem. And this affection is on the mundane platform. It's illusory. Putra sneha vashanuga. Because of his affection for his son, he's obeying, he's under the control of his son, Vasha, and obeying his instructions. And his instructions are, even though it goes against the family, that Rukmini is going to marry Shishupal. So Rukmi's not very popular, and his decision's not very popular with the family. And we can go back to 1052:25, where it states, because Rukmi envied the Lord, O king, he forbade his family members to give his sister to Krishna, although they wanted to. Instead, Rukmi decided to give Rukmini to Shishupal. Definitely, he's pushing his weight around. And he's got his father behind him because his father has this affection for him. He's my son. How he can't do wrong. He's got to be okay. Yes, he's my son. And then in verse number 2 of chapter 53, the Supreme Lord said, this is Krishna declaring this, just as Rukmini's mind is fixed on me, my mind is fixed on her. I can't even sleep at night. I know that Rukmi, out of envy, has forbidden our marriage. And that's stated here, Dvaishan mamodvaho nivarita, which is out of enmity that Rukmi has forbidden, or he's blocking the marriage of Krishna with Rukmini. So the point being is that this envy clouds everything. So that in this material world, even our loving affairs, so-called loving affairs, they're tainted with material qualities. Icha dvesha samutena dvandva bharata dandva mohena bharata. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by desire and hate. That's everybody. Desire and hate, envy, It's the constitutional, it's the rock, it's the bedrock of our material condition. This desire, hate, envy. We may cover it up with good manners. We may have nice qualities, although those nice qualities are only temporary, because at any moment the base elements can come out, even for a person in the mode of goodness. So this material world, it's illusory, the kind of attachment that we have for one another. And because we have attachment based upon this bedrock illusion that I am my body, and that I have to act in the interest of my body, which might be my mind or my intelligence, or it may extend to my family or my tribe or whatever. Therefore, I'm going to act in certain ways which are completely against my real self-interest, which is that of a servant of the Supreme Lord. And it causes huge amounts of problems. So, Prabhupada speaks strongly about how this sort of attachment in the material world is causing us so much difficulty. And he uses it, he says, misplaced. We have misplaced our love. We have misplaced the loving propensity we have onto material people, objects, situations, etc. And that this love should be reserved for Krishna. In fact, that's the only place it's supposed to be. Prabhupada speaks in a lecture he gave in Sydney on Bhagavad Gita 7.1, which is the most lectured verse that he gave on Bhagavad Gita. If you look at 7.1, I think he may have lectured 25 times on it. So it's an important verse. And this is from a class in Sydney in February 16th, 1973. And Prabhupada speaking, we have got attachment. Every one of us has got some attachment, either for this or that. Especially our living condition means to love somebody. That love propensity, that loving propensity is there within us, within you. I want to love you, or I want to love me, or I want to love somebody, but I want to love. That is my hankering. So everybody has to love. And we want to love something. And we're hankering for love. But as Prabhupada's saying here, it's misplaced. But because the love is misplaced, therefore we are frustrated. Love is misplaced, like Bhishmaka is misplacing his love that he should have for Krishna on his son Rukmi. Based on what? Oh, he's my son. He's an emanation from my body. And my body, oh, I'm the king. And he's like the prince. Therefore, I want to love him. I'm misplacing the love. I want to love, but I'm misplacing it. The example is given in Shastra. Just like the tree has to be watered. But if you know the purpose of watering, where to water, then our business of watering will be But if you don't know the purpose of watering, where to water, then our business of watering will be misused. You cannot water on the leaves, on the twigs, or the branches. You have to pour the water on the root. That is the principle. So our loving propensity, when it is properly employed, when we try to love or develop our loving propensity for God, or directly when we learn how to love God, then our loving propensity is perfect. So when we love Krishna, then our loving propensity becomes perfect. But what about everybody else? If we always just focus on Krishna, how do we love everybody else? And Prabhupada's anticipating that question in people's minds. He goes on to say, then you can love other things, others also. It is not just like watering the root of the tree, you automatically water the other parts of the tree. Or supplying foodstuffs to the stomach, you supply foodstuffs to all the parts of the body. Similarly, if you can develop your love for God, that is already there. It is not an artificial thing. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said, Nitya Siddha Krishna Bhakti Siddha Kabunai. Our loving propensity for, or our love for God, is already there in every living being, but it is now covered due to our ignorance or due to our contamination with this material nature. So we simply have to awaken that love. That is our business. That awakening of love cannot be possible in other living condition than the human being. So again, here's another theme that Prabhupada has, is that when we have a human body, we must use it properly. If we use our human body for eating, sleeping, mating, defending, the same as a buffalo or a cow or a lion or an ant, we're misusing this body, which is the only body in this platform we're on now. As we see in this world, the only body that's going to work is a human body, to remember Krishna and to develop our loving propensities. And if we don't do that, the human body is being used just like the animals. It's a more destructive animal, however. The lions and tigers and bears haven't created ecological disasters by developing some sort of industry which pollutes so much of the landscape, air or water pollution. I mean, they just live their lives, but we managed to use our intelligence to become more destructive than the animals. That's because it's misused intelligence. Our intelligence should be used for understanding our relationship with Krishna, and Prabhupada's making that point. The human being, the human form of life, is therefore the perfectional stage. How to develop our love for God and how we can love God. This is the main business of human life. Atato Brahma Jignasa. The Vedanta Sutra says that this life is especially meant for developing or inquiring about our love for Krishna or God. This is the only business. So all the other stuff we do, there has to be some sort of development, economic development, or civilized human beings have to have a certain type of setting in which to pursue spiritual life. So therefore, it's not that we live in some sort of barbaric state, but actually we have it's described in the Vedas. There's a real society, and there's culture, and there's all the trappings of human life that we know of. And we have it here in the world now, but it's been totally perverted because no one understands why it is. The idea is that we'll perpetually grow our economy so that we have more and more good things to have, to enjoy more and more in this material world. And guess what? That's completely impossible. Because even if you take away the understanding, a spiritual understanding, how can you have more and more when you're living on a place where you have less and less at every moment? More and more people take more and more stuff out of the earth and away from earth, and we expect to do this forever? Prabhupada said this is a civilization that is dooming itself because it doesn't understand what the purpose of life is. If you think the purpose of life is to be more and more comfortable and more godlike with our machines and certain technologies, then this sort of civilization has no future. The purpose of human life is to understand our relationship with the Supreme Lord. This is being demonstrated in this verse, because this verse is showing Bhishmaka, although a good person, because he doesn't understand what he's really supposed to do, which is to serve Krishna. That means Rukmini must be married to Krishna, not to your son, not to his son, who he's got this material attachment for. Prabhupada cites a verse in this class that's a very important verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And that's verse Madhya Lila 19:151. And, no, not that verse, different verse, excuse me. It is Madhya Lila 22:107. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema, Sadhya Kabunai, Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Karaya Udaya. This is definitive. This is a definitive verse. Pure love for Krishna is eternally established in the hearts of the living entities. It is not something to be gained from another source. When the heart is purified by hearing and chanting, this love naturally awakes. This is Lord Chaitanya, and he's speaking to Sanatana Goswami. So this is absolute truth. So that love is in our heart, covered by our contamination, and so that contamination causes us to express our love in all sorts of perverted ways. But if we want to express our love properly, then that happens when the heart is purified. How? By hearing and chanting about Krishna. So the point is that some people will think that, you have to somehow deny the loving propensity and develop some kind of love for Krishna, which is against what my nature is in this material world. No, sorry, that's not it. Our nature is actually to love Krishna, and our disease state is to love other things in this material world. So it's not so much of a leap into something unnatural, pulling ourselves away from all the turmoil and craziness of this world and entering into some sort of a higher state of consciousness as sort of an escape. No, it's waking up from a dream and understanding that we're simply an illusion. Why are we an illusion? Because we have attachments, and these attachments can only be mitigated when we come attached to Krishna. So this attachment for Krishna has to develop, and we can develop it only if we follow the process of Krishna consciousness, serving our Guru, chanting Hare Krishna, reading the Bhagavatam, serving the deity, seeing the deity, living in a holy place with holy association. But the question always comes up, but what if I don't become attached to Krishna? Over and over and over again, this comes up. You hear this all the time. I'm just not there yet. I haven't got to the point where I can really be Krishna conscious. And I've always kind of wondered this. So as I was searching through some of the Prabhupada's talks, Prabhupada directly answers this question in an answer to a young girl at a class, early class, 1968. I can't remember where. I'll tell you soon. This is a lecture given in, it's not an early class. It's a later class. It's in South Africa, October 18th, 1975. So, this is a question and answer. Girl, Srila Prabhupada, all living entities are part and parcel of Krishna. Even if we don't surrender to Krishna in this lifetime, eventually we'll surrender to him, each and every one of us. Push to Krishna then says, even if we don't surrender to Krishna in this life, will everyone surrender to Krishna? Will everyone go back to Godhead eventually? Here's a direct question. Prabhupada, So you've got some doubt? Rest assured, not everyone will do that. So you have no worries. It is not that everyone will do that. Not that everyone will go back. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, E rupe brahmanda brahmate konya bhagavan jiva. Now that's verse 1951, and I'm going to read it here. Brahmanda Brahmate Konya, Bhagyavan Jiva, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai, Bhakti-lata Bij. According to their karma, all living entities are wandering throughout the entire universe. Some of them are being elevated to the upper planetary systems, and some are going down to the lower planetary systems. Out of many millions of wandering living entities, who are one who is very fortunate gets an opportunity to associate with a bona fide spiritual master by the grace of Krishna. By the mercy of both Krishna and the spiritual master, such a person receives the seed of the creeper of devotional service. So the word here is Bhagyavan, and Prabhupada's going to talk about this. Who becomes most fortunate? He says right out, he says, not everybody's going to be fortunate. I mean, that's a pretty strong statement. Rest assured. But then he says that Lord Chaitanya has said this, that some people will become Bhagyavan. Unless one is Bhagyavan, very fortunate, he'll not go back home, back to Godhead. He will rot here. So this Krishna consciousness movement means that we are trying to make people Bhagyavan. If he wants, he can become Bhagyavan. That is our attempt. We are creating so many centers. We are teaching how to become Bhagyavan, fortunate, how to go back home, how he can be happy. Now, if one is fortunate, they will take this instruction and turn his life. Therefore, this is the mission. This is our mission. Personally, it's our mission. And as a group, to preach to others, it's our mission. Without becoming Bhagyavan, nobody can go back to Godhead. He didn't say back to Godhead, but that's what he means. Fortunate. So we are giving them a chance to become fortunate. This is our mission. The most unfortunate is getting the chance of becoming fortunate. Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. Harinama, 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 Eva, Kevalam, Kaloda, Steva, Steva, Gachar, Anyata. The most unfortunate in this crazy Kali Yuga world, which is just spinning out of control. Everyone's unfortunate. So the most unfortunate are getting the chance to become fortunate. Any one of us can consider this. How, from unfortunate life, they are coming to fortunate. This is the Krishna consciousness movement, that we are giving the chance to the unfortunate. Everyone is unfortunate. Everyone is rascal. We are giving chance now to become intelligent and fortunate. This is Krishna consciousness. This is Krishna consciousness, to become fortunate. That's why we study the Bhagavatam. That's why we associate with devotees. That's why we see the deity each day. That's why we have sadhana. That's why we try to make our life a life that will allow us to remember Krishna at whatever level we're at. I mean, I'm not very advanced. I don't have much understanding. But I have understanding that Prabhupada has understanding, and I follow Prabhupada's teachings, and he gives me some understanding only because he's merciful. I don't deserve, but somehow or other, by Prabhupada's grace, he's planted the seeds everywhere. And those of us in this room, we've had the seed planted to the point where we're actually, there is some creeper sprouting. And when we go out and distribute books or do Harinam or distribute Prasadam, oftentimes it's like, planting a seed in February. And it's not going anywhere. But April will come. So the seed will grow when the proper conditions are there. It may take a while, but we want to plant the seed. Because otherwise, everyone is unfortunate. And if they get a chance, if we've been given the chance to become fortunate, we should take advantage of that. So we learn this from this verse today, how we'll see Bhishmaka is making a bad choice because he's attached to his son. He doesn't know where to place his love. But even though he's made a bad choice, Krishna is going to end up making everything work out. And Bhishmaka, because he's essentially a good person, just attached to his son. We don't get details what's going to happen, but we can understand that Bhishmaka will pick up the proper understanding and become aligned with Krishna, and not aligned with his rascal son, who will eventually get his head knocked off by Balaram when he accuses Balaram of cheating in chess. But that's later. He also punches out the teeth of the king of Chedi too. So, so the fact is that we see how things will happen here in the Bhagavatam to those who forget Krishna, and we see how things will happen to those who remember Krishna. And it is our purpose to remember Krishna for ourselves, become Krishna conscious, serve our guru, give it to somebody else, even if it's just somebody within our own little circle here, hearing and chanting. Satatam kirtayanta, always chanting, and the verse eludes me now, but always chanting my glories, those great souls, and always endeavor to serve me. It's from the Bhagavad Gita. Satatam kirtayanto vas. Satata kirta, always having kirtan. We should be vibrating this kirtan among ourselves and then giving it to others. There's Harinam on Saturday. Please come. It's going to be at Weaver Street, and if it rains, we can even stand in a place where we don't get wet. So I'll ask if there's any questions or comments. Gorbaji. Well, no one knew exactly what was going to happen, but they knew what they wanted. And it looked really bad because it wasn't going to happen. And therefore, those secret meetings are secret. And Krishna is going to kind of burst onto the scene and fulfill everybody's desire, except Rukmi's and Shishupal's. But we know what happens to them. Not to a well, it is suspicious because getting killed by Krishna or Balaram is suspicious, but it's not exactly the path that everybody else should be looking to follow. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Well, he also said something else. Someone asked a question one time, said, what if everybody became a devotee? Nothing would go on in this world. This was some Indian businessman. And Prabhupada said, don't worry, there'll always be people like you to run things here in the material world. So we always get a choice, but the opportunity is out there freely. And because of the nature of the power of the holy name, even if people don't make the choice properly, but they hear the holy name or take prasadam, it's sort of like COVID. They're going to get sick eventually. So they're going to catch Krishna consciousness eventually. They may have a really good material immune system, but there's no medicine that can conquer, the absolute Krishna conscious fever. But it may not appear to us. But that's why we have to get as much of this out as possible, because otherwise, without becoming fortunate, which is that getting some contact with the holy name, with the spiritual master, with Krishna, with something having to do with the divine realm of Vrindavan, Vaikuntha. Everybody's stuck here. There's no other place. They don't even know about anything else. They dream of heaven or whatever, but it's all just in the mind. It's nothing concrete. And it also is always self-centered. It's always based on the fact that I'm going to go back to heaven and be with grandma. And my dog, maybe. But, where is God in all this? I don't know. We don't even know what he looks like. But we'll be with the family. We'll be back with our relatives. I'll be with little Johnny who died of cancer. But little Johnny, will he stay little Johnny for eternity? And since you're 78 and cricket, are you going to stay that for eternity? Because we're not our bodies. But no one understands that. Only in Krishna consciousness do we get the key to open the door. No one else is getting the key. They got a lot of keys on a keychain, and they're trying to, none of them work. None of them work. But Prabhupada just gave us one key. Don't look at the other keys. Take this key. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Bhagavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Agom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Vasyan Vipan Kayanti Jiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham
Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Saraswati Devi Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Shasunyava Jai Prabhupada Sattarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasade Gaura Bhaktavinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasade Gaura Bhaktavinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasade Gaura Bhaktavinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasade Gaura Bhaktavinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasade Gaura Bhaktavinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Gadadhar Shiva Gaura Bhaktavinda Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda Gaura Bhaktavinda Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Bol, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Raya Nama, Krishna Yaravaya Nama, Hare Raya Nama, Yaravaya Nama, Hare Raya Nama, Krishna Yaravaya Nama, Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Giri Hari Gopinath Madana Mohan. Giri Hari Gopinath Madana Mohan. Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita. Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita. Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita. Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita. Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata. Hari Raya Nama Krishna Yaravaya Namaha. Nama Krishna Yaravaya. Hari Raya Nama Krishna Yaravaya Namaha. Yaravaya. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Gopal Govinda Ram Nitya Gaur Haribo 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 Jaya Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Radhe Golokananda Radha Jaya Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Radhe Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Hey, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri. Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Bhagavacharya Satarya Statashishi Madhis Divine Grace H.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Gauda Vaishnavinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Sikoshti Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaura Vrindavan Dham Ki, Mayapur Dham Ki, Navadvip Dham Ki, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki, Jamuna Maya Ki, Ganga Maya Ki, Tulsi Devi Ki, Bhakta Devi Ki, Shishi Radha Golokananda Ki, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki, Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga.
Chaito Darpana Marjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam Vijavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipanam